Morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. We're getting to the end of July, and summer's going to be coming to a close soon. I think I last left off talking about the passing of my dad, and that occurred when I was in East District. Um, and so I had still a couple more years out in East District after my dad had passed, and having worked in CSU or a community support unit, and then I went back to General Patrol, and I had the great opportunity for a couple of years to work for and excuse me, and with people that I know, and once again, like that's just something that you learn to appreciate even more uh, as you get more and more years on the job, as you build your seniority. And I was getting over 20 plus years on the job, and it was time for me to, as it was getting close to transfer time, because I was finishing up my 5 years in East District. um, I once again had to go about finding a new home. And that starts earlier and earlier every year. Our transfers are, in the spring. But people now, when they're looking for a place to go for transfer time, whether it's specialty or whether it's mandatory, or whether you're looking for a new home and uniform, um, people are doing that earlier and earlier. And even at my late stage in the game, uh, I never lost the principle of, if you want to get somewhere, you have to go and talk to the people in person, and you have to do it early, and let them know that you want to transfer to a certain division, and that you want to transfer to their shift. And I never expected um, that just because I knew people or had been on a long time, that I would get what I was asking for. And I treated every single transfer, mandatory and otherwise, like a job competition. And I think that's something that's a little lost on too many people. And yeah, so I went and talked to people that I knew, and not only did I talk to them, you know, probably close to a year ahead of time as to where I wanted to go in division and shift, I stayed in touch with them. And that's something in the transfer process that you have to do as well. Um, and because you got to let them know that you're still interested, you gotta let them know that you're serious about where it is that you want to go. Um, and you got to just keep your face out there and on their minds. Um, so I had done that, and meanwhile, just having made a lot of new friendships in East District, and guys that I hung out with, guys and gals that I hung out with, and guys that I rode with on a motorcycle, and so I just loved working there, and had made some relationships that I've maintained today, and also helped a couple of junior people who were partners of mine um, expand their careers and their experience, and move on to specialty units that they wanted to, by first of all, having watched their hard and conscientious conscientious work ethic. There you go, we got it. And so I felt comfortable vouching for them. And while they had to still earn it, um, I could at least, with people that I knew, make the intros. And that's what you do part of what you do when you want to see a good junior person succeed. There's never any guarantee. You can't make the decision for other people, but all you can do is, if they've earned it, do everything you can to help them get to where they want to be. And sometimes that's as exciting and rewarding as your own personal accomplishments. And I was certainly at that stage where I was just pleased to help somebody else that deserved it move along. And so, lo and behold, when transfer time came around, wouldn't you know it, I was headed back to District 3 once again. And that was my fourth time going there in 20 plus years of service. And even though I was at the point where I had been there and done that 1,000 times over for all things GP, General Patrol, I still wanted to go to a shift where I knew the bosses, where the bosses were good, and where there were enough people, constables, that I knew, and I was lucky that was the case. People that I'd worked with before in a car, people that I worked with on calls, and people that were supervisors that I'd known for years. And so I was very thankful to get what I wanted. Back at it in the North End, where I spent the majority of my time on the General Patrol shift that I went to, acting because I was senior in years of service and age, I think, to absolutely everybody on the shift, bosses and otherwise. And I was fortunate to go to what was highly regarded as the best shift in the North End, and one of the best shifts in the city. And so it was a fantastic experience for a lot of new people that I didn't know, a lot of people whose names I'd only heard of over the years, but also a lot of people that, like I said before, that I'd worked with, and so that was good. But of course, of all the times, whether I was acting supervisor or in a car taking calls, I was just so fucking tired because tired of unfucking people's lives and tired of hearing the same old shit over and over again of people who, as they say nowadays, who were no good at adulting. And that's something that I still had to keep in check, because you can't let that, you gotta try to not let that shitty attitude rub off on junior people who haven't had the same amount or type of experience, and you don't want it to be negative. So I think I did my best, and although there were certainly a few instances where I let my feelings be known to complainants and to certain social service agencies when they just weren't doing their fucking job, and things had changed so much in the past few years with COVID and with all the fucking mental health challenges that people developed out of being locked up, and that showed itself on the street and in calls in terms of how people behaved and how people's political correctness and their attitudes changed towards all manner of special interest groups. And it was just so much fucking bullshit, but it changed the way that we all had to police. And that's fine. I could still adapt somewhat at that stage of the game, but it was also, what was really pending on my mind was I have to leave healthy. I can't leave where bitterness and being jaded got worse, and I had to really think about when I left, having as many years of post-career enjoyment afterwards. And that, it starts with while you're still at work, and just trying to have the best outlook and the best exit plan. And so I did. I developed something a plan that would be healthy for body and mind, and where I was still in uniform and out on the street solving problems, just maybe less of them at a more relaxed pace, and trying to get out of night shifts, because fuck does it become hard. Um, um, well, it's hard after 40. It is infinitely harder after 50, and body and mind had to be healthy, and so I was very conscious of that. And so through that first year of GP in the North End, I started to think about getting a spot walking the beat. And like in downtown, the North End has foot patrol units, and you're still out there doing stuff, focusing on specific community problems, um, or sort of hot zone or crime areas, but it's with more of a on foot presence, out of your car, walking in some of the busiest beats and high visibility beats of the North End. And so once again, I found myself in a position of having to earn something, and it being late in the game. So what I did was, on all my overlaps or extra working days, where if I had banked time, I could have taken off. I'm thinking about 6 or 7 times throughout that year, I went and walked the beat. Sometimes on A side shift, and sometimes on the B side shift, and that was with the goal in mind of, once again, putting a face to the name. Although most of the people back there knew me, but also working with them to get to know them, and to let them see that I was not just earning a position again, but that I would be somebody that they would like to have back there. And outside of that, it was just the usual working days on and working days off. And then there's a couple of things I'm going to talk about that are super tragic moments, both personally and at work. And it occurred in my first year back in 3, where I was working with a young junior guy one day. Junior in that I was 51 and he was 21. I have to say that was probably the first time in my career where the person sitting next to me in the car was 3 decades younger than I was. Fuck. If that isn't a sign that it's possibly time to go, I don't know what is. But anyway, he's a really good dude, with a fair bit of life experience, including previous policing. And I enjoyed the 3 or 4 days, I think 1 week that I worked with him. He was a very good guy, so I was lucky for that. But one evening, every once in a while when you're working on the job, you get a phone call from somebody you know, and it's kind of quiet and they don't say much, and they just leave a message that is important and that you need to call them back. And whenever you get those, it's oftentimes they're calling to tell you about some information that they feel they have, and so you can be kind of negative or doubtful about the quality of that information, and you don't necessarily always want to have to deal with it. And when that person, I didn't know that person super well, but I knew who they were and that they were friends of a family member of mine. And when they left a message saying that I needed to call them back and it was important and it was about a certain other person that I also knew, initially I was just like, oh my God, okay, well, but I have to call them. I didn't necessarily want to do it, but I had to call them. And I called them back, I think when we were finished a call that we were on and getting gas at the pumps. And it was a phrase that we often use as one of those phone calls that you don't want to get. So one of my cousins, her husband had been involved, a number of them had been involved in a motorcycle accident on the highway. And the spouse of one of my cousins passed away. And so that's just a horrible call to get. But and you feel kind of helpless because you're at work, and what can you do? But of course, I did the one and only thing that was right, and I got my junior partner to drive me back to the station, and I told the bosses what had happened, and of course I went to go and be with family, because that's what you have to do, because they come first above all else. And there was just so many people at the house, friends and family, and of course my family joined me. My wife joined me afterwards, and you know, just try to be the best supportive person that you can be, and help them through that process, because it's a tough one. That would break me, so yeah, but go and be there for them. Damn the job, when something like that happens, you're there for family. The next day, back at work. And that's just how it goes. Evening shift, you know. And then the very next day, I got some awful news that a friend of mine that I knew when I worked in East District, as a police officer, I'd worked with on the shift and in a car on a handful of occasions, and that I'd known for years, had ridden with, you know, gone out and had beers with, took his own life. So I talk about this because, you know, I love the guy, and there were, of course, other people on the job and on my old shift who knew him or were much closer to him than me, but it was still an extremely painful loss. And it was not the only officer that I knew that had taken their own lives in the past few years, and others that had passed away from disease and natural causes, but there had really been so many that we saw those final call videos on YouTube on a far too frequent basis. And this was extremely painful. And I felt for his one good friend that found him deceased at his home, because when you see and have to deal with someone in that terrible position that they are, in terms of the manner of passing, that's just something that you don't forget, and it affects everyone differently. But when it's a good friend of yours, I can only imagine that it messes you up for life. But I do, you know, the service, this is one of the few times where real leadership had shown, and divisional commander and supervisors of the district that person still worked in held a briefing the following night, or maybe it was that night, fuck, I don't remember, but it was either that day or the day after, where everyone at briefing time, because they were on night shift, could get together and talk at work, and everyone had a chance to speak their mind. Everyone had a chance to hug each other and to say how they felt. Members of the behavioral health unit were there as well, and supervisors and cruiser car crews from another division handled calls in our area, and it was just exactly what everyone needed. And thank goodness for that, because I know it helped me and it helped everyone else to make the painful event as tolerable as possible, and the fact that we were all together, and so that was just so good. And I think I'll leave it at that for today, and next week will, or whenever, I try to stay on a regular schedule. Next time we will get into the event that changed my life. That'll be the first episode where I really talk about it from the day of on forward. So take care. Remember that what you do on your days off is far more important than anything on your working days. Family first. Take good care of yourselves, physically and mentally. I sure fucking miss you guys. That is a recurring theme lately. I had some good friends and my best recruit ever over the other night. And every time I see some of the guys and gals, it is so great to see them. But it's also hard because it's a reminder of what I miss. So by all means, please take good care of yourselves. If you're ever feeling like it's too much, or that you need a break or you need time, give one of your peer support members a call, give behavioral health unit a call, seek counseling at an outside source if that's what you feel you need, and if worse comes to worse, call 988 and take good care of yourselves, because I care. I love you guys. Talk to you later.